Behind the gold-plated gates of Jumeirah's most exclusive villas, where Ferraris line driveways and chandeliers cost more than most people earn in a lifetime, some secrets stay buried in marble floors. This is a story about forbidden love between a domestic worker and the son of one of Dubai's most powerful families, a romance that ended not with a wedding, but with blood pooling on Italian tiles. Two people from different worlds, one desperate moment, and a knife that changed everything. But could she have ever imagined that her search for a better life would end with her hands stained in blood? Stay with me to the very end to find out. Welcome to True Crime Journal HQ. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily update on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Before we start, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40, Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals, by clicking the link in the pinned comment. Teresa Valdez was born in 1991 in a small barangay outside Cebu City, where roosters announced dawn, and neighbors shared what little they had. Her father worked at the port, loading cargo ships until his back gave out when she was 12. Her mother sold balut and peanuts at the market, hands wrinkled from years of work. Teresa was the eldest of 5 children, which meant her childhood ended early. She was brilliant in school, top of her class, especially in science. Teachers told her she had a future, that she could become something. At 17, she enrolled in a nursing program at a local college, taking night shifts at a convenience store to pay tuition. She had a plan: finish nursing, pass the board exams, work abroad, lift her family out of poverty. The classic Filipino dream. But life had other plans. At 19, she met Roberto at a cousin's birthday party. He was charming, older, promised her everything. By 20, she had her first daughter, Sofia. By 22, a son named Miguel. Roberto disappeared before Miguel's first birthday, leaving nothing but empty promises and unpaid bills. Suddenly, Teresa was a single mother with 2 kids, no degree, and debts climbing faster than she could count. The nursing program became impossible. She took whatever work she found: sales clerk, fast food server, laundry attendant. But the math never worked. Rent, food, medicine, school supplies. It was like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. That's when her cousin Anna called from Dubai. They're hiring domestic workers. Good salary, food and accommodation included. You could send money home every month. The agency promised 1,500 dirhams monthly, about 22,000 pesos, more than Teresa made in 3 months back home. In August 2019, she boarded her first airplane. 28 years old, leaving her children with her mother, carrying 1 suitcase and a heart full of guilt. Dubai hit her like a wall of heat and glass when she landed. The airport alone was bigger than her entire hometown. Skyscrapers stretched into clouds, cars that cost more than houses, women in abayas gliding through malls, men in crisp white kandaras conducting business over coffee. The Al-Shaheen villa in Jumeirah shocked her into silence. 12 bedrooms, a swimming pool, gardens maintained by a separate crew. Her room in the separate staff quarters behind the main house was barely 2 by 3 meters. A bed, a small cabinet, a shared bathroom with the other housemaid, Aisha. Her days started at 5 in the morning. Prepare breakfast for the family. Clean the main floors, do laundry, prepare lunch. Iron clothes with precision. Sheikh Hamdan's kanduras required special attention, perfectly starched. Serve dinner. Clean the kitchen. Back to her room by 10 if she was lucky. Midnight if the family entertained guests. She was invisible. The family rarely looked at her directly. Never asked her name in the first 3 months. She was just the Filipina. Instructions came through Aisha, or Sheikha Mariam's sharp, clipped Arabic that Teresa slowly learned to decode. Fridays were her only break. She'd take the bus to Dera, to the Filipino restaurants near Al Riga, where she could eat sisig and hear Tagalog again. Her friends, other domestic workers, shared stories over cheap meals. Some worked for kind families. Others whispered horror stories about confiscated passports, unpaid wages, abuse behind closed doors that no one talked about publicly. Every Thursday night, she video-called home. Sophia would show her school drawings. Miguel would ask when she's coming back. Her mother would say everything's fine, but Teresa could see the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she was aging faster now. The remittances kept flowing, 200 dirhams every month after she kept 300 for herself. It paid for school fees, food, the leaking roof repair. Her sacrifice was working. But at what cost? Have you ever had to leave everything behind for a better opportunity? Would you trade years of your life, your children's childhood, for survival? Sheikh Hamdan Al-Shaheen didn't build his fortune overnight. His grandfather traded pearls before oil transformed the desert into a metropolis. His father expanded into shipping when the creek still defined Dubai's economy. By the time Hamdan inherited the business in the 1990s, the family name carried weight in Majlis gatherings and government offices alike. The Al-Shaheens weren't flashy new money. They were the kind of family that didn't need to prove anything. 3 properties across Emirates Hills, Jumeirah and Palm Jumeirah, controlling shares in logistics companies, quiet investments in real estate. Sheikh Hamdan moved through Dubai society with the confidence of someone whose family helped build it. Tradition governed everything. Friday Majlis gatherings where men discussed business over Arabic coffee. Marriages arranged within trusted families, keeping wealth and bloodlines pure. Respect earned through lineage, maintained through reputation. The family's honor wasn't just important, it was everything. Faisal was the youngest of 4 sons, born in 1990 when his father was already in his late 40s. His older brothers slipped naturally into the family business, confident, traditional, married to appropriate women from good families. But Faisal always felt like he was wearing someone else's kandura. His father sent him to London School of Economics in 2008, expecting him to return with useful knowledge for the shipping empire. Instead, Faisal discovered pubs in Shoreditch, house parties in Brixton, girlfriends who didn't require parental approval. He studied economics but majored in freedom, 4 years of being just another student, not Sheikh Hamdan's son. Coming back to Dubai in 2012 felt like putting on chains. His brothers were already running operations, their wives producing grandchildren, fulfilling expectations. Faisal drifted. He'd show up to the office, sign documents, attend family dinners, but his mind was elsewhere. Nights at shisha cafes in Jumeirah Beach residence, clubs in DIFC where he could pretend he was still in London, WhatsApp groups with university friends who'd moved to New York and Singapore. By 2019, the pressure became unbearable. Sheikh Hamdan arranged meetings with families from Abu Dhabi. His mother showed him photos of potential brides, educated, beautiful, from respected tribes. "You're 32 now, Faisal. It's time to be serious." Relationship with no future, unable to let go. In November 2021, Teresa wore the Chanel perfume to Friday prayers at the Filipino church, just a small spray, savoring something beautiful in her limited life. She didn't notice Aisha in the hallway when she returned, didn't see the older woman's eyes narrow at the expensive scent that didn't match a maid's salary. Aisha had worked for the Al-Shaheens for 15 years. She'd raised Sheikh Hamdan's children, attended family weddings, earned her place through loyalty. She watched Teresa carefully now, noticing small things, the new phone, the way Faisal's gaze lingered, the closed doors. But someone was watching. Someone who'd been there long before Teresa arrived, someone whose loyalty to the family ran deeper than any secret romance. What would you sacrifice for love, your family, your future? The security you've built through years of sacrifice? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. Aisha didn't sleep well for 3 weeks after noticing the perfume. She'd lie awake in her small room, wrestling with what she knew. Part of her understood loneliness. She'd been away from her own family in Egypt for 15 years, sending money home for nieces and nephews she barely knew. But another part, the part shaped by loyalty and survival, knew that silence made her complicit. In the hierarchy of household staff, information was currency. Aisha had kept her position this long by being trustworthy, by protecting the family's interests above all else. If this scandal emerged and they learned she'd known, she'd be finished, not just fired, but blacklisted from working for any reputable family in Dubai. On March 10, 2022, Aisha requested a private meeting with Sheikh Mariam. They sat in the majlis while Teresa prepared lunch in the kitchen, unaware her world was collapsing. "Madam, there's something you need to know about your son and the Filipina." Sheikh Mariam's face remained composed, but her coffee cup paused halfway to her lips. "Continue." Aisha laid out everything: the closed doors, the perfume, the way they looked at each other when they thought no one noticed. The Sheikh listened in silence, her expression hardening with each detail. When Aisha finished, Sheikh Mariam set down her cup with controlled precision. "You were right to tell me. Say nothing to anyone, I'll handle this." The Sheikh didn't explode. She didn't confront. She planned. For a week, she watched them, confirming Aisha's observations. She saw what she'd been too busy to notice: her son's distraction, the maid's nervous energy, the charged atmosphere when they occupied the same space. On Thursday, March 17th, she made her move. "We're going to Palm Jumeirah for the weekend," she announced at breakfast. "The whole family, pack your things." Faisal barely looked up from his phone. Teresa, serving Arabic coffee, felt relief wash over her. 2 days of breathing room, 2 days without walking on knives. By 2 p.m., the family's convoy of vehicles departed. Sheikh Hamdan, the Sheikha, Faisal's brothers and their families, even Aisha, who usually stayed behind to maintain the house. Teresa watched them leave, then texted Faisal, "Are you really going?" "Told them I have a meeting, coming back tonight, wait for me." They had dinner together in the empty villa, take-out shawarma eaten on the guest quarters sofa like normal people. They talked about everything except their impossible situation. Faisal held her hand, tracing circles on her palm. "I wish it could always be like this," Teresa said softly. "Maybe one day." The front door opened. They froze. Footsteps in the marble foyer, heels clicking, deliberate, measured. Then Sheikh Mariam appeared in the doorway, Aisha behind her, face apologetic but resolute. The Sheikha took in the scene, her son and the maid close together, guilt written across their faces. Her voice when she spoke was ice. "So it's true. My son, heir to the Al-Shaheen name, reduced to hiding with the help like a common criminal." "Mother, it's not—" Faisal stood, placing himself between Teresa and his mother. "Move aside, Faisal." The command was absolute. "No, this isn't her fault. I pursued her. You dare defile my family's honor, our reputation, for this?" The Sheikha's eyes fixed on Teresa with pure contempt. "Did you think you could trap my son, extract money, destroy our family?" "I never wanted—" Teresa's voice shook. The Sheikha moved forward and struck Teresa across the face, a sharp crack that echoed in the room. Teresa stumbled back. The Sheikha raised her hand again. Faisal grabbed his mother's wrist. "Stop, don't touch her!" The Sheikha wrenched free and shoved Faisal aside with surprising strength. She lunged at Teresa again, nails raking across her cheek, grabbing her hair. Teresa's back hit the wall. The Sheikha's rings cut into her skin as blows landed, face, neck, shoulders. "You're nothing. Worthless help who forgot her place." Teresa's hand found something on the nearby serving tray, the knife she'd used earlier to slice fruit. Her fingers closed around the handle. In that moment, 3 lives would change forever. But only one would end. If someone attacked you, how far would you go to defend yourself? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. Teresa didn't think. Her body acted on pure survival instinct. As the Sheikha came at her again, fingers clawed, screaming words Teresa couldn't process through the ringing in her ears. The knife came up. A desperate thrust meant to push her away, to create distance to stop the attack. The blade caught Sheikh Mariam in the shoulder, sinking deeper than Teresa intended. The Sheikh gasped, stumbled backward. Her hand went to her shoulder, came away red. For a moment, everyone froze. Teresa still holding the knife, Faisal paralyzed in horror, Aisha's hand covering her mouth. Then the Sheikh's face twisted with rage that transcended pain. "You stabbed me! You dare!" She lunged forward again, ignoring the blood seeping through her abaya, hands reaching for Teresa's throat. No calculation now, just pure fury, and the absolute conviction that this woman had destroyed everything she'd built for her family. Teresa reacted again. Not a decision, just terror and the primal need to survive. The knife came up as the Sheikh closed the distance. This time, it found her neck. The Sheikh's eyes went wide. Her hands flew to her throat, trying to stop what couldn't be stopped. Blood poured between her fingers, more than seemed possible, spreading across the white marble floor in growing pools. She tried to speak, her mouth opening and closing. Only wet, choking sounds emerged. She took 2 steps backward, hit the wall and slid down slowly, leaving a red trail on the cream-colored paint. Faisal's scream shattered the silence. "No, mother, mother!" He dropped to his knees beside her, hands pressing uselessly against the wound. Blood soaked through his white kandura, warm and unstoppable. His mother's eyes found his face, trying to communicate something, rage, love, warning, regret, but the light was already fading. Teresa stood frozen, the knife still in her hand, her mind unable to process what had just happened. She looked at her hands, at the blood, at the woman dying on the floor, and reality began to fracture. The knife clattered to the marble. Aisha was screaming into her phone in Arabic, her voice high and panicked. "Emergency! Al-Shaheen residence, Jumeirah. She's bleeding. There's so much blood. Please hurry." Sheikh Mariam's last breath came as a wet gurgle. Her hand, still reaching toward her son, fell limp. Faisal rocked back on his heels, covered in his mother's blood, his mouth open in a silent wail that eventually found voice. "What have you done? What have you done?" Teresa backed away, shaking her head. "She attacked me. I didn't mean—" Sirens began wailing in the distance, growing louder. Red and blue lights would soon paint the villa's white walls. Police, ambulances, reporters eventually. The machinery of justice and scandal grinding into motion. Teresa looked at the door, at the blood, at Faisal's destroyed face, and instinct kicked in again. She ran. But the real nightmare was only beginning. Teresa ran through Jumeirah's streets in her blood-stained uniform, mind blank with panic. She had no plan, just the desperate need to escape. A taxi driver nearly refused her. She looked wild, covered in stains, but she shoved 200 dirhams at him. "Philippine consulate. Please, emergency." The drive to Al-Qusais felt eternal. Every police car they passed made her heart stop. She stumbled into the consulate at 9:47 p.m., collapsing at the reception desk. "Please help me. Something terrible happened. I need help." For 4 hours, she sat in a small office while consulate officials made frantic calls. A lawyer arrived. Coffee appeared. Someone brought clean clothes. They explained her options, but Teresa barely heard through the ringing in her ears. She kept seeing the Sheikh's eyes, the blood, Faisal's scream. At 2:15 a.m., Dubai police arrived with diplomatic liaisons. Teresa didn't resist. The handcuffs felt inevitable. The investigation moved swiftly. Crime scene analysts photographed everything. Blood patterns, the knife, fingerprints, the defensive wounds on Teresa's face and arms. Faisal was questioned for 6 hours at CID headquarters in Bur Dubai. "Tell us what happened," the investigator demanded. Faisal's voice was hollow. "My mother attacked her. Teresa was defending herself. My mother struck her multiple times. I saw it. Teresa didn't want this. Your mother is dead because of this woman." "My mother is dead because she couldn't accept—" His voice broke. "It was self-defense." Aisha's testimony painted a different picture. The Filipina seduced the young master. When the Sheikh discovered them together, the maid became violent. She grabbed the knife and attacked without provocation. I saw everything. 2 testimonies, 2 completely different stories. The forensic evidence showed defensive wounds on Teresa, supporting Faisal's account. But in Dubai's legal system, witness credibility carries weight, and a long-time loyal employee's word versus an accused killer's was no contest. The Al-Shaheen family closed ranks around their grief. Sheikh Hamdan, devastated by his wife's death and his son's involvement, released a carefully worded statement. "We are mourning the tragic loss of Sheikha Mariam Al-Shaheen, a beloved wife and mother. We trust Dubai police to deliver justice and ask for privacy during this difficult time." Private grief behind villa walls was one thing. Public image was another. The family needed this contained. But containment was impossible in the social media age. By morning, the story exploded across Filipino community WhatsApp groups. By afternoon, it hit Twitter and Facebook. Filipino domestic workers shared it with a mix of horror and recognition, there but for the grace of God. In Manila, advocacy groups mobilized. Justice for Teresa trended. Another OFW abused and blamed, the posts read. How many more must suffer before we demand protection? In Dubai, Emirati social media erupted with counter-narratives. Respect our culture pushed back. Foreign workers must know their boundaries. Our families deserve respect in our own homes. The comments sections became battlegrounds. She was defending herself versus she murdered her employer. The story became less about what actually happened and more about everything it represented: class, power, cultural collision, the invisible workers who kept Dubai running. News outlets from Al Arabiya to ABS-CBN covered it. Human rights organizations issued statements. The Philippine government requested fair treatment. Dubai authorities promised thorough investigation. Teresa sat in Al Awir Women's Prison alone with her thoughts, while the world argued about her fate. Where are you watching from? Drop your location and tell me. Does your country have similar class divides? Do domestic workers face this kind of vulnerability where you live? If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. The case should have gone to trial. Teresa's public defender, an overworked Egyptian lawyer named Youssef Khalil, reviewed the evidence and saw a legitimate self-defense claim. The forensic photos showed clear defensive wounds. Faisal's testimony supported her account. Under different circumstances, she might have walked free. But circumstances were never equal. The Al-Shaheen family retained Al-Tamimi Company, one of Dubai's most powerful law firms. Their team didn't just prepare for trial, they prepared to destroy any narrative that damaged the family's reputation. Emirati law operates differently than Western systems. Islamic jurisprudence includes the concept of diya, blood money paid to a victim's family in cases of wrongful death. If the family accepts diya and shows mercy, sentences can be dramatically reduced. If they refuse, the full weight of justice falls on the accused. International pressure mounted. Philippine President Duterte's office made calls. Human rights organizations filed briefs. But Dubai's legal system moves according to its own logic, balancing Islamic tradition with modern commerce, always protective of Emirati interests. The negotiations happened behind closed doors at the law firm's offices in DIFC. Sheikh Hamdan sat across from prosecutors and Teresa's lawyer. His face was carved from grief and rage. "She took my wife, the mother of my children." "Your son testified it was self-defense," Khalil countered carefully. "The evidence supports this." Evidence can be interpreted. Witnesses can be questioned. The threat was clear. The deal emerged after 3 weeks. Teresa pleads guilty to manslaughter. The family accepts diya and shows Islamic mercy. Sentence reduced from potential death penalty to 15 years. She'd be 43 when released, if she survived prison. Khalil visited Teresa in Al Awir. The prison was brutal. Overcrowded cells, limited medical care, the constant fear. "Take the deal," he advised. "Fight this and you might never see your children again." Teresa thought of Sophia and Miguel, now 11 and 9. 15 years meant she'd miss everything. Graduations, first loves, weddings. But 15 years meant she'd eventually return. Death meant never. On June 8, 2022, she stood before the judge and spoke in broken Arabic she'd learned from other prisoners. Ana asifa, ma kunt urid haza. I'm sorry, I didn't want this. The judge sentenced her to 15 years imprisonment. Faisal wasn't in the courtroom. He'd vanished from Dubai society the week after his mother's death. Some said Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur had a large enough expat community to disappear into. Others claimed London, living off savings in a Brixton flat. A few whispered darker rumours about depression, psychiatric hospitals, complete breakdown. Sheikh Hamdan never spoke his youngest son's name again publicly. Family photos were quietly updated, cropped, edited. Faisal became a ghost. But some questions would never be answered. Did Faisal ever try to contact Teresa? Did he blame her or blame himself? Did he think about that last peaceful moment before his mother walked through the door? Teresa has been in Alawir Women's Prison for over 2 years now. Her days blend together, wake at 5 a.m., breakfast of bread and cheese, work detail in the prison laundry, lunch, more work, dinner, lights out at 9 p.m. She shares a cell with 6 other women, including 2 other Filipinas convicted of different crimes in different circumstances, but united by the same desperate decisions that brought them to Dubai. Her mother brings the children to visit once every 3 months, all they can afford. Sophia is 13 now, quiet and withdrawn in ways that break Teresa's heart. Miguel is 11, struggling in school, angry at a mother who left and never came back properly. They sit across from her in the visiting room, separated by plexiglass, speaking through phones mounted on the wall. 30 minutes every 90 days to watch her children grow up without her. "Mama, when are you coming home?" Miguel still asks, though Sophia stopped asking a year ago. "Soon, Anak. Soon." The lie tastes like rust. Back in Manila, Teresa's mother is raising them on the remittances that stopped flowing when Teresa was arrested. She took in laundry, sold food from their small home. The children transferred to cheaper schools. Dreams of university faded into survival mode. The Al-Shaheen villa in Jumeirah stands as it always did. Pristine white walls, manicured gardens, luxury cars in the driveway. But the service quarters remain empty. Sheikh Hamdan restructured household operations. Daily cleaning crews arrive at 8 a.m. and leave by 6 p.m. No live-in staff. No rooms where secrets could grow in darkness. The change wasn't about compassion. It was about risk management. Faisal's whereabouts remain mystery wrapped in rumor. Someone claimed they saw him at a cafe in Kuala Lumpur in late 2023. Another swore they spotted him at Heathrow Airport. A third said he'd heard Faisal checked into a psychiatric facility in Switzerland. The family refuses all questions. For them, Faisal died the night his mother did. In Dubai's domestic worker community, Teresa's story became legend and warning both. Filipino, Indonesian, Ethiopian, Ugandan women working in villas across Emirates Hills and Palm Jumeirah whisper about it during Friday meetups. Some see her as victim of impossible circumstances. Others see cautionary tale about crossing lines that should never be crossed. Did anything change systematically? Barely. A few NGOs held forums about domestic worker rights. Some advocacy groups pushed for better legal protections. The Philippine government issued stronger warnings about employment contracts, but the fundamental power imbalance remained untouched. Hundreds of thousands of domestic workers still live in employer homes, still depend entirely on their employer's mercy, still exist in legal grey zones where abuse has limited consequences. The uncomfortable truth is that Dubai's miracle, the gleaming towers, the luxury lifestyle, the efficient service economy, relies on these invisible workers. Addressing their vulnerability would require confronting the hierarchy that makes the whole system function. Teresa and Faisal's story asks questions Dubai doesn't want to answer. What happens when humans refuse to stay in their assigned boxes? When love ignores the rules written by wealth and power? When the invisible become visible? They both paid the price for breaking unspoken rules. She with her freedom, he with his identity, Sheikh Mariam with her life. Do you think Teresa was a victim or a criminal? Could this tragedy have been prevented? What would you have done in her position? Stayed silent in an abusive situation, or defended yourself and faced the consequences? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who stayed until the end of this heartbreaking story. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. There are more untold stories from Dubai's shadows waiting to be revealed. Stories that need to be heard, lessons that could save lives, truths hidden behind golden gates. Before you go, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then don't forget to download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40, Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals, by clicking the link in the pinned comment.